Well, ACTU boss Sally McManus has slammed the Prime Minister's decision to shift the responsibility for vaccine mandates to individual employers. According to McManus, the move is a recipe for division, resentment and confusion. She's not the only one calling on the government to lead the way on mandatory jabs. Business Council CEO Jennifer Westacott wants the states to step up through the use of public health orders. Jennifer Westacott joins me now from Canberra. Jennifer, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I was surprised that they came out of National Cabinet on Friday and pushed this all back to individual employers. They've got enough on their plate. Why there can't be common ground nationally here, but you find yourself on a unity ticket with Sally McManus. Will you get some change?
Well, I hope so. I mean, the first thing, Peter, is we want this to be done in a positive way. We want it overwhelmingly to be voluntary. We've got to get supply right. We've got to get access right. And business wants to help with that. But there are going to be circumstances where we are at least going to have the conversation about mandating in certain cases. So I think about this as things like system risk. So a whole quarantine, all the hard work we've done because we're not willing to do international air crews, make that mandatory. High-risk workers, meat processing, food processing, aged care. And we want this done through public health orders so you get consistency, because if you leave it to each individual employer and everyone's fighting an industrial battle, you'll end up with inconsistency, and inconsistency will mean that we lose control of the kind of health issues again. And you just can't expect employers who are just so busy at the moment trying to keep goods and services running, keep their people employed, to just try and sort this out on a case-by-case basis. And the other really important thing is this is going to be done for risk reasons, not as a means of getting to the target. That's something I think we should put a firm line in the sand. This is about risk. It's about employers' obligations to protect the safety of their workers, which they are legally obligated to do. And to your point, it would be great to see some national consistency on these public health orders. I mean, think about aviation. Only 2 states have got public health orders on aviation, South Australia and New South Wales. This is the stuff, and you've been talking about this tonight, that is just driving business crazy, this inconsistency. We've got to do this in a consistent way, because if we don't, we kind of put more risk overall into the system. We'll never get this situation under control, and we're in and out of, week on, week off lockdowns until Christmas.
And we've also got massive delays. I mean, if you try and do a business by business or even industry sector by sector, and it runs through the industrial courts, we'll be having the same conversation this time next year. We're 18 months into this pandemic. The idea that there cannot be a better use of national cabinet, national decisions taken with premiers as well that stick. That's a frustration people have. You released some modelling recently looking at the impact of these sustained lockdowns. I suspect the numbers have only got worse. I mean, we've got Sydney and Melbourne locked up here. That's got to be a huge drag on the economy.
Well, just think about it. Sydney is 30% of national GDP. I'm in Canberra tonight. We've gone into this 7-day lockdown off the basis of 1 case. And what we're saying is, look, the short, sharp lockdowns might be effective, and no one's questioning that we have to keep the disease under control. We have to kind of focus on suppression and containment, keeping our capacity in our health system. I think, the conversation about elimination is extremely unhelpful. But surely it's not, hard to get some consistency about how we manage these lockdowns. How do we do it smarter? What happened to the hotspot definition? Now, if we need to change that because of Delta being more contagious, fine, change it. Let's get a nationally consistent approach. Why can't we get nationally consistent public health orders about, workers who are essential, the movement of workers, the permitting system? And if you're in a border town at the moment, people tell me places like Albury, Wodonga, it's really difficult at the moment. Why can't we just have some consistent principles? If you're a national employer, it is so difficult, and you're trying to keep food on the shelves, you're trying to keep your people employed. Why can't we just have a bit of common sense? And then the stuff you were talking about in the paper this morning, why can't we have a bit of care and compassion for people, and some consistency about what people can expect? And the thing I think we've got to be willing to debate urgently is, if I've had my 2 doses of vaccine, which I have, why can't I have more freedom? Why can't I have more kind of like reward for doing that? Because people would be saying, well, what's the point if I don't get a sense of extra freedom, that in itself, I reckon, is going to drive more people to the vaccine centre than almost anything.
I 100% agree. You're not Pollyanna. You've been around Canberra a long time. I know it intimately as well. You were there just saying, why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? You're absolutely right, Jennifer Westacott, but we're 18 months into this. Yeah. Surely the bloody people we elect can sit around the table. The Prime Minister crows about 50 meetings of National Cabinet. What has it achieved? If it can't fix these things that you went through, an absolute litany of failure, things that we are expecting governments to resolve for us because business can't do it, TV hosts like me can't do it. Why hasn't it been done?
I genuinely don't know. I mean, if I had the answer to that, we would be able to say, well, do this, do this. I just don't understand it. I don't understand why you can't have a consistent set of public health orders for things like, what's an essential worker, who moves outside of a hotspot, what's a hotspot at all. You shut cans down on one case. I understand what people are trying to do. They're trying to contain, they're trying to suppress, they're trying to make sure that we keep the health system having capacity, trying to stop people getting sick. I get all of that, and we agree with that. But surely, to goodness, we can say, well, okay, that's an essential manufacturing worker doing a national supply chain. Let's get a common definition for that. Here's a common permitting system so people can move either out of LGAs or between these border towns. I'm bewildered why this is so difficult, because the impact on people now, mental health,
it's massive.
Economic health. I mean, you think about a small business in Victoria, in Melbourne, Peter. I mean, 1 week on, 1 week off, 1 week on, 1 week off. What do? Do you order your food? Do you put your casuals on? Or do you just say, something, I give up?
Well, you keep going. I've got to talk to a business right now. We'll see what it's like at the coalface, but you keep going, Jennifer. Westacott, we're all relying on you. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Peter.